Hey guys, my name's Donald here. I'm from Full Ninja Death Productions. Today I'm going to run through my review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Now, this won't be like the OnePlus One review. I haven't had a chance to get all the information correlated, so this will be my thoughts, my opinions, nothing more than that. Now, you are looking at, with the Note 4, the OS is Android. The CPU for Australia isn't the Snapdragon, it is actually a 2.7 GHz quad-core processor, and it comes in black, gold, or white. Now, this one has 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of onboard ROM storage, and it can take an external SD card. Now, the camera is 4K at 3840 by 2160 at 30 frames a second. Now, this is the specs I'm running through. It is enabled for a single SIM. It can take a micro SIM, and I'm not really caring. It can take 2G GSM, 3G WCDMA, 4G LTE FDD, 4G LTE TDD. It accepts all bands within Australia, and it contains Bluetooth 4.1 and all that jazz. As you can see, the design is mostly unchanged from the Note 3, except a few small ways to make it much better. First off, this sucker is suave. Gone are the shiny metallic covered ribbed plastic edges from the Note 3, which felt really cheap, I must admit. For a $900 phone, it felt really cheap. But as you can see, they've gone for a metal bevel now. So it actually feels a lot more firmer in the hand, a lot more grabbable. However, you still have this Samsung pleather back. Now, at least there's no fake stitching around the edges, but it still feels cheap. Still feels, I don't know, it feels not like leather, not like plastic, not like anything. It's not as premium as I would have thought. Upgrading this to metal, you think they would have went for a more subdued back on it, like, yeah. The Note 4 still feels premium, but it's a plain premium. It's not a phone that I'm embarrassed with. I feel a bit disappointed with the way it works. Now, the metal sidings, great idea, Samsung. Powder coating and then leaving them shiny on the edges. Fantastic idea. I'll give you props for that. But when you take off the back of this phone, when you take off the back of it, it still has that clippy sound like when you breaking plastic, and it's the same old bendable black back. It's not plastic, it's not anything, it's just like a cheap $2 piece of plastic that covers the back of your phone. Not really something I'm used to, Amazing phone, but bad design decisions on the back, The faux leather, not my cup of tea, but yeah, it's definitely something that I'm looking to. Okay, the size issue. This is a 5.5 inch screen. It is 5.5 inches round. It's not much bigger than the iPhone 6 Plus. Note 4 has a pretty minimal bezel, which means that even though the Note 4 has a bigger screen than the 5.5 inch iPhone 6 Plus, the phone is essentially the same size. It is only 2mm wider. That is 2 whole millimeters wider, and thicker, and 4mm shorter than the iPhone 6 Plus. And even with those extra few millimeters, its design helps manage to feel smaller. Now, I'm actually reading these off notes, so shush. That being said, the Note 4 is still bad at plenty of things that big phones are bad at. I found typing with a single hand to be possible but precarious. Essentially, when your thumb had to reach anything in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which made my lack of grip feel downright dangerous. Swiping down the notification menu with your thumb and trying to do anything else at the bottom of the screen requires an obnoxious and dangerous grasping adjusting. Blah. Now, essentially what I'm saying there is, when I grab the phone like this, I'm typing, and then I need to swipe. It requires me to change my hand position a lot more of the time. Now, that big body isn't for nothing. It holds the Note 4's screen an incredible bar none 2560 by 1440 Quad HD Super AMOLED display, and it jumps out of the way immediately, stunning, and it's almost impossibly crisp with colours that pop like crazy. Bringing the phone up from sleep to a mostly yellow background is like taking the first steps outside in a sunny day. Every time you turn it on, the screen will make people stop and stare at and ask delightfully ego-boosting questions. So as you can see, I've got a very red background. The Note 4 is pretty responsive. The colours are crisp, able to actually withstand a lot of things, as you can see. It's pretty good. Now, I'm not doing up close and personal shots or anything like that, so let's move on. Of course, the Note still has this characteristic built-in stylus, which gives you pinpoint accuracy when you give up using two hands. Unfortunately, the stylus missed out on Samsung's new design philosophy. It is the same sort of one you get in the Note 3. It feels cheap, it feels weird in the hand. It's got these like flat edges and rounded edges. If you grab it on the flat edge, your fingers literally have to hold on with 3 fingers, and it's like a normal pen. I usually tuck my finger behind and do this, but as soon as you do that on the S Pen, it doesn't recognize it. I'm not sure why, I'm not sure how come Samsung did it that way, but it's Samsung's design decision, not mine. Now, let's move on to using it. Okay, let's move on to using it. The Note 4's bright and beautiful speedster. It's one of the first phones out of the gate to run Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 805 processor, but not in Australia. Australia doesn't get the Qualcomm Snapdragon processors at all. The only place you can get them is if you import them from overseas or get the OnePlus One. Now, it is the first phone to run the 805 Snapdragon processor. Doesn't run it in Australia, so I can't actually tell you guys whether or not it's really good. Considering the Note 4 has the bonkers Quad HD screen, full pixels to push, but it's saddled with a layer of TouchWiz which slows it down. Now, TouchWiz, not my cup of tea, I must admit. Cyanogen 11S, more my speed. I found myself using my OnePlus One more than TouchWiz. It is because it is TouchWiz. I must admit, TouchWiz, the software isn't up to spec. Like, yes, they've redesigned it, but essentially, at its heart, it is still TouchWiz 2. It is still slow, unresponsive in some areas. Particularly, I found when I'm logging into the PayPal app and finger swiping in. Finger swiping on this into the PayPal app, you can swipe 3 or 4 times. Once you get a good swipe, even if you're connected to full 4G coverage, it still takes 3 minutes for the software to respond. You may say that is the PayPal app. Okay, that's fine. Recently updating. The phone was telling me I had an update available. I went in to engage the update and was told that the update was not available. And then a minute later, after it froze for a full incomplete minute, the update was there. TouchWiz. Speaking of TouchWiz, it is a bit of a relief to see that they've revamped it. I must admit, the old style TouchWiz was getting outdated. It's amazing to see they revamped it. Now, back to the screen. It looks great virtually all the time, with one exception: outside in bright sunlight, where it felt like I just couldn't crank up the brightness quite high enough to actually see the screen. But indoors, the max brightness seemed almost blinding, especially when you wake up. yeah, don't look at your phone screen, whatever you do. You will literally cringe at the brightness. At some point, the wow factor fades into the background with the screen, and not everything I threw up at the display was able to make use of all those pixels. I found wallpapers that were high-res enough to look nice, but also some that looked absolutely horrible in the high-res. Now, on the other hand, apps and web pages looked at least good, if not mind-blowing, and oh my god, reading stories or text on the screen is absolutely fantastic. Now, I seem to be skipping around a bit, but that is because I'm reading off notes, so it will get better over time. Let's get on to that camera. Okay, the Note 4's camera, for the most part, is the same 16 megapixel shooter you found on the S5. When it comes to image quality, that is to say the pictures that have a tendency to wind up a little oversaturated, especially in HDR mode, it has very little on contrast, but is fine. For mobile phone cameras, it's fantastic, at least so long as the lights are on, but the S5 and Note 4 don't do too well under low light conditions. You can read a bit more about how the S5 sensor compared to the OnePlus One sensor on this channel. There's a video that, if you go back to the OnePlus Ones. The OnePlus One I found to be a better camera in this instance. The audio light conditions are very bad for the S5 camera, so I'm not really sure what to go with. Now, moving on to the front-facing camera, which is at the top there. There are fairly few gimmicky features on the front-facing camera as well. The Note 4's front-facer is a respectable 3.7 megapixels, complete with a wide-angle selfie mode that allows you to take panoramas. It is a feature that seems both over the top and suspiciously foreshadowed by the Samsung selfie stunt from the Oscars. Expect to see that horse trotted out again. On top of that, the Note 4's otherwise pretty useless heart rate sensor can be used as a trigger to take selfies from the back of the phone. Like, how hard is it to press a button rather than trying to get your finger on the heart rate sensor, especially when you've got a case on it? It's nothing utterly revolutionary and or totally unique with the phone. It's just gimmicks. Again, gimmicks being trotted out to us and being fed to us. Now time to move on to what I liked and what I didn't really like. The Note 4 is a handsome phone. After years of plastic blobs from Samsung, Samsung has finally hit its design stride. We saw the potential for the new look in the Galaxy Alpha, but its guts couldn't follow through. But the Note 4 can, and it's a great looking phone. Some parts of it are still cheap, but it's still great looking. TouchWiz is not only less horrible than TouchWiz 2, but it has a few cool tricks. Doesn't excuse it as TouchWiz though. For a phone, the enormous Quad HD display on the Note 4 gets an impressive battery life and looks amazing, especially considering it's all packaged on the Note 3's 3200 mAh battery, not to mention the power saving modes that now come standard with the Note 4. It's pretty trivial to squeeze extra battery out of it by turning it to grayscale, but it's nice to have in case. Now, time to get on to the things I don't like. Okay, things I don't like. The Note 4's single back-mounted speaker kind of sucks. It's loud, but it has a clever little rib on the grill that keeps it from being muffled on a table, but sound quality is tiny and just all-around bad. It's no way to listen to music. You need headphones or at least a speaker. Even though I've said TouchWiz is better than it's always been, on the Note 4 in particular, I think it's crossed over into being more useful than it is a pain in the ass. It looks very blue, very round, very... Now, another thing is the camera won't work if your battery life is low. If your cat or dog was doing something particularly cute, but since your battery was at 5 to 3%, you couldn't actually initiate the camera app. Now, I know if I'm really desperate to take a photo, I will use the camera. Even though the battery is low, you don't need to tell me the battery is running out to give me a extra battery life. It is just stupid. And finally, I actually forgot to mention this. The fingerprint scanner. Yep. Fingerprint scanner. Now, yes, it is dirty. I will clean it. Even though the heart rate sensor is gimmicky, it's not as gimmicky as the fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint reader is so finicky, it's basically useless. In a world where iPhone's Touch ID seamlessly integrates fingerprint reading in a button press, you're already used to making or getting into your phone. Slowly dragging your finger across the sensor, often to have the reading ultimately fail, feels a bit Stone Age. Come on, Samsung. I can put my thumb on a Touch ID sensor and I can get into a phone. I don't need to particularly drag my thumb across the sensor the way I did it when I set it up. It is gimmicky, it is amazingly bad. So, thoughts. Do you want a big phone would have to be the main question for this. Do you want a big phone? Window multitasking, split screen options, and drag and drop style features in the Note 4 are amazing, and integrating touch into big screens. Where giant phones like the OnePlus One, the Nokia 1520, the iPhone 6 Plus, presumably the 5.9-inch Nexus 6, are just bigger versions of their smaller predecessors, the Note 4 actually offers something more. And even if you don't use any of that, the Note 4 is good looking, even if it feels a bit cheap. It is easy to hold, has an amazing screen and amazing battery life. But it runs TouchWiz. Overall, if you're going to buy a big 5-inch display or 5-inch phone, go the OnePlus One. Unlock software, it is amazingly good, and the updates roll out every month. With Samsung Australia, you guys in America, or you guys in China, or you guys in anywhere else, will get the update as they come. We in Australia have to wait for the updates to roll out to us. It may be 3 or 4 months from when you get to when we get it. Australian Samsung rollouts are bad. So, all in all, my thoughts on the Note 4 are it's a good phone, feels good, Samsung's design choices are amazing, and fly in this room. Samsung's design choices are amazing. I look forward to seeing what they bring out next, but all in all, it's so many gimmicks wrapped up in one package. It's not very good, in my opinion. I'd get a OnePlus One any day. I will actually be going back to my OnePlus One after this. So stay tuned for more reviews. If you like this one, comment, rate, subscribe, and we'll do more. If not, we'll go back to the same style we did the OnePlus One reviews in. So let us know which one you preferred. I will link the OnePlus One review down below. So see you guys in the next video.